But what if the wand never belonged to Snape? What if its allegiance was always to someone else? Come on, Tom. Let's finish.
One of the biggest stories the Harry Potter movies never really explored is what happened more than 1,000 years before Harry ever arrived at Hogwarts. Long before Voldemort, Dumbledore, or the Boy Who Lived, 4 extraordinary witches and wizards came together to build the most famous magical school in the world. Those founders were Salazar Slytherin, Godric Gryffindor, Helga Hufflepuff, and Rowena Ravenclaw. A movie centered on them wouldn't just be another prequel because it could finally explore the origins of Hogwarts itself, showing how the castle, the houses, and many of the wizarding world's greatest traditions actually began. The founders didn't simply open a school, they built Hogwarts from nothing during a period when witches and wizards were still being hunted and persecuted. That alone gives a potential movie much higher stakes than simply following students through another school year, instead of watching characters inherit magical history. Audiences could finally see the people who created it. The films never showed what it actually took to build Hogwarts, and that's a story with enormous potential. Another reason this project could stand out is because the 4 founders weren't perfect heroes. Although they shared the same dream at the beginning, they didn't always agree on how that dream should be carried out. Their partnership slowly fell apart as their beliefs became impossible to reconcile. Eventually, Salazar Slytherin walked away, leaving behind what became the Hogwarts 3. That gradual breakdown of friendship could easily become the emotional core of an entire film. Most people automatically view Slytherin as the obvious villain because of his obsession with blood purity and his decision to hide the basilisk inside Hogwarts. But a movie has the opportunity to show that every founder made questionable choices. Even Helga Hufflepuff, who is remembered for kindness and fairness, wasn't completely free of controversial decisions. Showing all 4 founders as flawed people instead of perfect legends would make them feel far more believable than the almost mythical figures they became in later generations. One interesting storyline the movies never touched involves the Sorting Hat itself questioning the very system it still follows. In Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, the Sorting Hat tells the story of the founders and explains that dividing students may actually have been a mistake. According to its song, the founders originally welcomed students without worrying too much about placing them into different groups. Only later did Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, and Slytherin become increasingly selective about who belonged in their own houses. As those divisions grew stronger, the unity between the founders slowly disappeared. The hat even suggests that separating students encouraged rivalry between the houses. A Founders movie could explore this transformation from the beginning, showing exactly how a well-intended system slowly created lasting conflict that continued for centuries. The Chamber of Secrets is another part of Hogwarts that deserves much more attention. The Harry Potter movies mainly treated it as the place where Slytherin hid a basilisk to attack Muggle-born students. But there's evidence suggesting the chamber originally served another purpose. It may have been built as a secret classroom where Slytherin could teach spells that the other founders refused to approve. That idea adds another layer to his character. Instead of building the chamber solely as a weapon, he may have first intended it as a place for advanced magical education focused on darker forms of magic. The room's design also works surprisingly well for organized dueling, making it look more like a formal training arena than simply a prison for a giant serpent. A movie could finally explore why Slytherin built it in the first place before his plans became much darker. The origins of the Sorting Hat could also become one of the film's most memorable moments. Before becoming one of Hogwarts' most important magical objects, the hat actually belonged to Godric Gryffindor himself. Once the founders realized they wouldn't always be alive to personally choose students, they enchanted Gryffindor's hat together. What makes the Sorting Hat remarkable is that it doesn't simply sort students. It literally carries the intelligence of all 4 founders. It can speak, read minds through legitimacy, understand personalities, and judge potential. Watching the founders combine their magical abilities to create one of the wizarding world's greatest magical artifacts would be something the Harry Potter films never had the chance to show. Godric Gryffindor's legacy sword also has a much deeper history than the movies explained. It was crafted by Ragnar I, the King of the Goblins, making it one of the greatest magical weapons ever created. The sword appears only to worthy Gryffindors, but many fans have always wondered why an accomplished wizard would even need a sword when carrying a wand. The answer lies in the era when the founders lived. Before magical secrecy became law, witches and wizards sometimes had to defend themselves physically against hostile muggles. Gryffindor's sword wasn't just a symbol of courage because it was an actual battlefield weapon. A Founders movie could explore those dangerous times, showing magical people fighting to survive instead of living safely in secret. Another relationship that deserves attention is the friendship between Gryffindor and Slytherin. The Harry Potter movies mostly presented their houses as lifelong enemies, but according to the Sorting Hat, the two founders started as close friends. Their rivalry didn't exist from the beginning because it slowly developed over time. Their friendship eventually collapsed because Slytherin wanted only pureblood students admitted into Hogwarts, while Gryffindor completely rejected that idea. But despite their disagreements, the two founders actually shared several personality traits. They often admired similar qualities in students, making them much more alike than later generations ever realized. That complexity could create one of the strongest character dynamics in the entire wizarding world. A movie could also explore how each founder represented different strengths instead of simply different personalities. Gryffindor was known as perhaps the greatest duelist of his era. Ravenclaw excelled in magical architecture. Slytherin mastered legilimency and advanced magic. Meanwhile, Hufflepuff specialized in charms, especially those connected to food and daily life. Helga Hufflepuff often gets overlooked because her talents weren't flashy, but they were essential. Many believe she designed the magical systems that helped Hogwarts prepare enormous feasts. Her enchanted cup may even have helped house elves transport meals from the kitchens to the Great Hall. Some traditions and recipes used at Hogwarts are also believed to have originated with her. A movie could finally show that keeping Hogwarts running required just as much brilliance as defending it. Rowena Ravenclaw's contribution to Hogwarts may have been even greater than many fans realize. She wasn't simply the smartest founder because she was largely responsible for designing the castle itself. The moving staircases, constantly shifting layout, hidden rooms, and complicated magical architecture all stem from her extraordinary talent. She may have also named Hogwarts. According to Wizarding World lore, Ravenclaw supposedly dreamed about a warty hog leading her to the cliffs beside the Great Lake, inspiring the school's unusual name. Watching the castle slowly come together from her magical blueprints would finally explain why Hogwarts feels alive in ways no ordinary building ever could. A Founders movie could also deliver one of the franchise's most emotional storylines through Rowena and her daughter Helena. Their relationship ended in tragedy after Helena stole her mother's magical diadem because she envied Ravenclaw's brilliance. Rowena desperately wanted the diadem returned and sent the Bloody Baron to retrieve her daughter. Instead, everything went horribly wrong. Helena was killed, eventually becoming the Grey Lady, while Rowena died soon afterward from heartbreak. The Harry Potter films only briefly touched on this history, but seeing it unfold from Rowena's perspective would give the story far more emotional weight. Helga Hufflepuff's philosophy could also become one of the movie's strongest themes. Unlike the other founders, she believed every magical child deserved an education regardless of talent, bravery, intelligence, or ambition. Her famous belief was simple: she would teach everyone equally. That attitude separated her from the others because she cared less about selecting exceptional students and more about giving everyone an opportunity to learn. A movie exploring those debates over who deserved admission would make Hogwarts feel like an evolving institution rather than a school whose traditions simply appeared overnight. Although Hufflepuff believed strongly in fairness, the movie could also acknowledge that even she wasn't morally perfect. She brought house elves to Hogwarts because she believed they would receive better treatment there than elsewhere. At the time, providing safe working conditions was considered compassionate, but from a modern perspective, the arrangement still involved unpaid servitude. That kind of moral complexity would give the founders much greater depth because even their best intentions weren't always flawless. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.